Hello and welcome to Games from Folktales, a podcast that mixes historical research and tabletop role-playing settings. I'm your host Timothy Ferguson. This week, another one of our episodes from the work of Song Ling Poo, Strange Stories of a Chinese Studio. If you read Wikipedia, it will tell you that the Indian rope trick was invented by an American magician in the early 20th century. It is difficult to reconcile this with an account of the Indian rope trick which occurs in Su Ling Poo's work, which was written in the 13th century. The following recording was made by Gerwin Kramer and released into the public domain through LibriVox. Thank you, Gerwin. I'll be back after Gerwin's recording with a few plot hooks.
Theft of the Peach. When I was a little boy, I went one day to a prefectural city. It was the time of a spring festival, and the custom was that on the day before, all the merchants of the place should proceed, with banners and drums, to the judge's yamen. This was called bringing in the spring. I went with a friend to see the fun. The crowd was immense, and there sat the officials, in crimson robes arranged right and left in the hall. But I was small and didn't know who they were, my attention being attracted chiefly by the hum of voices and the noise of the drums. In the middle of it all, a man leading a boy with his hair unplaited and hanging down his back walked up to the dais. He carried a pole on his shoulder and appeared to be saying something which I couldn't hear from the noise. I only saw the official smile. And immediately afterwards, an attendant came down and in a loud voice ordered the man to give a performance. "What shall it be?" asked the man in reply. But after some consultation between the officials on the dais, the attendant inquired what he could do best. The man said he could invert the order of nature, and then, after another pause, he was instructed to produce some peaches. To this he assented, and taking off his coat, laid it on his box, at the same time observing that they had set him a hard task, the winter frost not having broken up, and adding that he was afraid the gentleman would be angry with him, etc. The son here reminded him that he had agreed to the task, and couldn't well get out of it, so after fretting and grumbling a while, he cried out, "I have it! With snow on the ground we shall never get peaches here. But I guess there are some up in heaven in the royal mother's garden, and there we must try." "How are we to get up, father?" asked the boy, whereupon the man said, "I have the means," and immediately proceeded to take from his box a cord some tens of feet in length. This he carefully arranged, and then threw one end of it high up in the air, where it remained, as if caught by something. He now paid out the rope, which kept going up higher and higher until the end he had thrown up disappeared in the clouds, and only a short piece was left on his hand. Calling his son, he then explained that he himself was too heavy, and, handing him the end of the rope, bid him go up at once. The boy, however, made some difficulty, objecting that the rope was too thin to bear his weight up to such height, and that he would surely fall down and be killed. Upon which his father said that his promise had been given, and that repentance was now too late, adding that if the peaches were obtained, they would surely be rewarded with 100 ounces of silver, which should be set aside to get the boy a pretty wife. So his son seized the rope and swarmed up, like a spider running up a thread of its web. And in a few moments he was out of sight in the clouds. By and by down fell a peach as large as a basin, which the delighted father handed up to his patrons on the dais, who were some time coming to a conclusion whether it was real or imitation. But just then down came the rope with a run, and the affrighted father shrieked out, "Alas, alas, someone has cut the rope. What will my boy do now?" And in another minute down fell something else, which was found on examination to be his son's head. "Oh me," said he, weeping bitterly, and shewing his head, "the gardener has caught him, and my boy is no more." After that, his arms and legs and body all came down in like manner, and the father, gathering them up, put them in the box and said, "This was my only son, who accompanied me everywhere, and now what a cruel fate is his! I must away and bury him." He then approached the dais and said, "Your peach, gentlemen, was obtained at the costs of my boy's life. Help me now to pay his funeral expenses, and I will be ever grateful to you." The officials who had been watching the scene in horror and amazement forthwith collected a good purse for him, and when he had received the money, he rapped on his box and said, "Popper, why don't you come out and thank the gentleman?" Thereupon there was a thump on the box from inside, and up came the boy himself, who jumped out and bowed to the assembled company. I have never forgotten this strange trick. I subsequently heard could be done by the White Lily sect, who probably got it from this source.
And thank you again to all the LibriVox volunteers for that recording. The obvious question is this a pure illusion, or does the boy actually go somewhere? If he goes somewhere, is it to fairy or to the magical realm? And is the method of him travelling there something to do with the cord, which would make it a magical item capable of rituals, the likes of which are not known to hermetic magic? Or is the cord a misdirection? For example, is it a ritual that is being performed because it is a particular day in spring and in a particular location? Was the request to get the peaches something that was set up in advance? If we think about Chinese sorcerers and peaches from heaven of extraordinary size, we are reminded of the peaches of immortality stolen by the monkey spirit. Is this a very complicated way of providing longevity potions to the men who give the 100, I want to say talents, but it's probably pieces, of silver to the magician and his boy? If Magi of Hermes hear of this trick, can they track it to the Indian communities that are found in Socotra and Alexandria, or will they have to travel to India itself? When they get to India, what will they find, remembering that the Romans had trade settlements on the western coast of India, and so it's possible that a fragment of the Order of Hermes may remain there. But your saga may vary.